I'll share with you a very simple strategy for people who are getting overwhelmed with all these tools, all these indicators out there, all the things you could trade. It's very easy to feel like there's too much out there for you to trade. There's too much to learn, too much to master. And I want to take it back to basics a little bit. With a simple strategy, anyone could use, anyone can try, and you can tweak it to make it your own very easily. And I'm never a big fan of having all these lines on your chart, all these indicators, or people who use all these zones of like support resistance areas and they put a bunch of lines in their chart. I don't really like that because sometimes the market respects them, but sometimes it doesn't. So having a zone that the market respects, that's more recent, is a lot more valuable than 10 lines on your chart from past data. So today I want to show you how that works out, a quick here strategy you can use, and we'll just dive right in. So here we are on a blank chart on USD Singapore dollar. And what I want to go through here is how that works out and what are the steps for this strategy to work out and what things you got to go through and really be able to apply to be able to trade this strategy. Now, first thing we want to do, and this can be the same thing for all strategies that I trade, is what kind of market are we in? What kind of phase? What kind of situation? So let's just write this here. The environment. Okay, I know it's not going to be very clear, but environment here. And I'm sorry for this cold I still have. I've had a cold for the past week or some kind of flu. My voice is not so clear yet, but we'll deal with it. Hope we can understand fine. Okay, so the environment is the first thing. So are we here in an environment where we have these support resistance areas, these zones that are straight like this? Or are we in an environment where we have, let's say, these trends, right? Or are we in an environment where we have not a trend that's big like this, but something more like this? Well, here you can see it's clearly this one. Okay, we have a small trend, something not strong at all, something very, very slow, but still a trend. So first thing I'm thinking here is we have a trend. We can use tools for trends for identifying our next step, which is zones. Okay, zones always come second. Environment comes first. The second would be your zones. I'm just going to draw these lines here. You can understand. You can have trend lines. You can have, of course, these Fibonacci. So all these tools are tools to identify zones in the market. Fibonacci gives you a level. Support resistance areas give you also a level. And these trend lines give you a level of trade as well. Same thing. Now we know we should kind of look for trend lines here, or kind of Fibonacci levels, because we're in a market that's trending down in this case. So we can start to look for these bearish levels of trade on the market. So now we'll just take off some of these drawings. And what I'll do is I'll simply take a trend line here and I'll start to apply the trend line to whatever works. Now, okay, we could say we have one from here. Now if I should go back here a little bit, we could say, well, we have one from here. Kind of have a trend line that goes like this. Okay, that's one. This one didn't really continue too much forward. But then we have this other one that's continuing from here below. Coming from here and then down to here. Okay, roughly this trend line. Yes, that's kind of what we have here. Okay, it could be a little bit different. It could be like here. And of course, a trend line is also a zone, and it's not a fixed level. It's not really we want to trade this specific trend line. It's more we want to trade the zone around there. Okay, that's the idea here. So now you got here a zone defined, and that's actually the second step in the process because now we know what zone we can trade. So any area on this trend line here. So it could be somewhere here, could be here if price touches there, could be anywhere here on the trend line. These are zones we want to trade. Here below, we don't have to trade because that's not really a point that we have an edge in. We don't have really any kind of place for good reward to risk trade in that case. Here makes no sense because we are buying against the trend line. We're not going to buy here. Okay, so now we know exactly what kind of setup we're looking for. We know we're looking for a bearish setup. We know around the zone where we want to have the setup at. All we got to do is wait for the price to hit that level and give us a nice setup. So now I've just here clear the chart a little bit, make it more clear. And let's go see what we can trade here. Now I'm not going to trade the daily chart. That is my chart to look at the bigger picture, the phase we're in, the zone we're looking at. But I want to trade on lower time frame to give us better entries and better reward to risk, of course, in these trades. So I'm a big fan of the 1 hour chart, the 4 hour chart, or time frames I look at a lot to trade. And what I would do is I would drop down, go in these time frames, and we ask, well, here we're going to trade some kind of reversal, some kind of continuation of a trend. Now, what makes a price pull back? And then what shows us that the trend will continue in the same direction? What are some indicators? What are some things we can look at to give us a good idea that the trend will continue in the same direction? Or that price will reverse and go within our trend we're looking for. So you might have your own notions of this. You can have your own thoughts, totally fine. I'm a big fan of candlesticks. Candlesticks give me a good idea of what the price will do, but also indicators like the Bollinger Band that gives us extreme points. We know if price is at an extreme of the Bollinger Band, meaning outside the upper and lower band, then we have chances that price will recover and go back the other side after. Not all the time, but a good percentage of the time. And that's all we need. I will simply go here on the forward chart and I will look for signs of reversals here in this market. Now you'll see, let's have a look at a trend line here in the past, just quickly. You see here we have this candlestick setup. That's a nice price action setup here. We have a big candlestick. We have a small one, which is kind of like an inside bar, and then a reversal of that. And then the trend continues to the downside. Very nice. When price goes back here, we have the same setup again. I know there are names for these patterns. I just don't know them myself by memory because I don't care about the name of the pattern. I care about what they mean in the market. But you could simply go and trade these things. Okay, here we have another one. Have a look at this. It's a pretty good one. Engulfing candle. So we have a bullish candlestick here. Very small one. Kind of like a pin bar. Next one is engulfing its full body and wick. So good sign of reversal here. Very nice one. Okay, then price continues. Now, these are all setups that are not very high quality, but they are good. Okay, you can still trade those, make a good income from these if you want to. I would prefer to have a bit more confidence myself because I like these kind of like A+ trades, these better trades. And this is why I'm going to look for the Bollinger Band as well. I'm going to try to incorporate these lines here and look for a setup where the price is beyond the band and then coming back within those bands. So you see, if we move forward here a little bit, we have this very nice, this is one that's without a Bollinger Band, but we have this second one here with the Bollinger Band. So price shooting outside the Bollinger Band, the upper band, meaning we have an extreme price. Then we get the same thing as we had before, engulfing candle, but with that confluence here of the Bollinger Band. Much better setup here. So there we go, the setup over here. Okay. And what you would do is you would enter below the low, put your stop loss right above the high, do a revert to risk of whatever you prefer. Could be 2 to 1, or it could be the other side here of this trend line. So what you could decide to do is have a half of the trade going to the low of the trend line, which could be based on this low here, based on this low here. It could be somewhere over here. So this level here, or at the same time, it could be just part of it goes with a take profit here. And the other half would be, let's say, a take profit to keep for a longer period. Okay. In all cases, that gives you a pretty good target. If I bring here this tool, that would be stop loss over here. And a target of even there will be like a 3.3 to 1. That's pretty high. 3.4 to 1. So I would do a simple 2 to 1 just to keep it simple because these trades are pretty reliable because they're based on how the market reacts, how the market moves. And that's kind of very simple. So I would just do it like this. Okay. 2 to 1. Boom. Here we go. And then we have this trade taken right there. Okay. So that's kind of how it works. So the key principle in this video is not about necessarily about how the strategy works. It's more about how the framework works out. Now you can replace this and tweak it with anything you'd like, any kind of zone you want to look for. It could even be like pivot points. It could be other kind of support resistance areas. But you want to have a way where you look at these zones within the market that we're in and whether they make sense for the market. Don't look for trend lines if it's sideways. Don't look for support resistance areas if it's trending. There's no point doing that. It's all about adapting to the market and trading what makes sense for this market right now. So I hope you got some value out of this. Hope you got some examples of how that works out. Any questions, you can leave them below in the comment section. I'll be happy to reply, help you out with the comments. I'm in Singapore for a few days, and I'll catch you back here in the next video pretty soon. Ciao.